This is Anushida, and I decided to come and join and say something on my work. Actually, the topic or the issues of climate change. Okay, this I think you know better than me about this. It's I would speak on this climate change update, its consequences and impact on the women in developing nations and the scarcity of water in turn. Now, especially for India or other developing nations, we know that they are always stressed with scarcity of natural resources, especially now water. Why? Because this very low rate of precipitation and high evaporation rate, all these have led to this scarcity of water, which has serious long-term impact and consequences on the quantity and quality of water resources as well. In India, we see that it's according to the last census, it's the second largest populated country of the world, and nearly it has an urbanization rate which is about 2.4% per annum, which is very alarming. And nearly 30% of the total urban population in India are stressed with this scarcity of water. We have studied that from the data, of course, that 4% of urban population have no access to drinking water facilities, and nearly 46% of the total population have no access to proper sanitation facilities. These two are very important. And the thing is that in these cases, the most difficult situation, as we have come to see, is about the poor people. Now in India, nearly 40 million slum dwellers, they are overstressed with this scarcity of water shortage, drinking water shortage and sanitation problems. I'm talking about the slum dwellers because in India, we know that one of the important aspects of urban poverty is the prevalence of the slum areas and the squatter settlements. And nearly 1/4 of the total slum dwellers in India reside in cities, and large amount of them are in Kolkata, Mumbai, Delhi and Chennai. And among the slum dwellers or the poor people, the most vulnerable section are the women. So why women? In most of the developing nations, we know that women, they are mostly associated with the domestic work, with lots of other associated works, and they are involved with the food production process and other domestic work. As the Tamil survey, they have revealed that most of the women at home are engaged with collection of water, with fuel collection, with cooking, washing and other domestic purposes. And when there is scarcity of water in India or other developing nations, see, it has been observed that 64% of the household, they rely fully on the women for collection of water. And as a result of this, these women, they have to travel long distances to collect or fetch water.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you said 64%, is there a rural urban?
No, it's total.
Yeah, right. But how would it compare? If you had just to take rural, just to take urban, would it be around similar numbers? Would it be a huge disparity?
No, actually in rural areas, it's the disparity is high. Okay, because they have to travel long distance. But in urban areas, you don't have enough facilities, but you don't have to go farther distance. That is very tiring. That's the problem. And so what happens? Since they are always involved in various domestic work, so women in turn have to depend on reliable water sources for maintaining their home, and they are mainly the caregivers. So as a result, it is the women who are always overburdened. So how we relate this changes in temperature with this? Now, see, changes in temperature this lead to low productivity, and this low precipitation on the other hand, this may lead to inaccess to water resources and other natural resources. This, if we combine both this will lead to high economic pressure, and the stress bearers are again the women. So they are always trapped into a cycle of poverty, and if they do not have enough access to water or other natural resources, they have to bear this burden, and this process is being going on. So the thing is that if you need to create a balance between the total environment and the existence. So one thing is we need to be careful about this water management so that the stress of this future water scarcity could be reduced. And and another thing is that we can introduce education and training on this as well. So these are the policy side, which I'm not going to say much about because there are lots of other things to say. But what I have studied about this, that if there is a scarcity in natural resources, all the human beings, they are in danger, but the women are the most vulnerable section because they are the low payers. They do not have enough decent access to job facilities either. They are the mainly caregivers of the society. They have to look after their household. They have to maintain their household. And during this time of maintaining their household, what happens? They, in most of the time, do not get enough time or facilities to maintain themselves for their own health-related aspects. This may lead to other health hazards, reproductive health problems. Okay. And it has been seen that they are often vulnerable to certain waterborne diseases also, mainly diarrhea in the slum areas especially. So they are in almost all cases faced with residential vulnerabilities, occupational vulnerabilities and social vulnerabilities. So this natural resources or change in the climate, this have definitely long-term consequences and impact on this quantity and quality of water resources, in which cases poor section and among them the women section are the most vulnerable. This is just a introduction, I think, and I have already said, and if you have anything to say.
So I have a comment to make, which I think I shared with some people here last time when we are, so this is the second time we are coming to India. Last time we didn't come to Kolkata, I was a little bit less ambitious. But in IIT Bombay, there is this professor, Milind Sohani, who started a center for rural technology, now it is grown. He was not there this time because he was on vacation. He's a very interesting man. So there was this, the first time I sort of got to know him was at this ITI, there was Information Technology Research Initiative focused on water, where the government of India had called, they called researchers and practitioners from India and a few academics from US who are working in water. So there was people presented stuff, they're sort of, discussing about what are the important challenges, especially those that could be solved by IT in that context. IT very broadly defined, whether it's computer models, whether it's, mobile apps, and everything in between, right? Whether it's sensors that you put on pumps, everything. So that was that particular focus of the discussion. So gradually it emerged that we couldn't agree on almost anything, except during lunch or dinner we tried to be agreeable to each other. We tried to find things that we could agree on. Not much luck. Then somebody said, well, at least in education, if you're trying to train people in water, etc., fluid mechanics is something that you really need to study. And everybody there was, and I shared the story with some of you guys, I think. And everybody was sort of saying, yes, water, fluid mechanics, you have to study. Milind Soni said, no, fluid mechanics is not a fundamental thing. And he got attention, well, what do you mean? No, in India, this is again in the context of India, he said in India, again, if you look overall, right, we know that there are some places which are very well developed as some of the leading nations anyway. But we're not talking about this, overall, average. So overall, less water flows through pipes in India and more water flows on women's heads. So it's not fluid mechanics, it's something else that we need to study, which is some of the social, political issues, the underlying dynamics. And then he got a lot of attention for sure, and then we were asking him. And one thing that he mentioned after that is, look, there are certain challenges we need to solve in India. And let's call them, let's say they are gray, if you put a color scheme. And all that we are solving are white dots. The challenges are gray dots. All that we are solving are all these white dots, fluid mechanics, all kind of stuff. At least some of us, he was saying, at least some of us have to be really completely black to pull everything towards the gray. So that was his point. So anyway, point. Any comments on that? How do you balance sort of the high end? So again, one other thing, India's Mars mission, there's a lot of comments. Should it have been done when people cannot get food, right? Remote sensing helps a lot. Everybody, right? Because of natural hazards now. Again, there are comments then about should India launch satellites. So from your perspective, women's studies perspective, economics, what are your thoughts on broadly this whole balance?
Yeah, actually, I think that first of all, in most of the developing countries, if you need to create a balance between almost all the sectors, first of all, you have to concentrate on at the grassroots level. Okay. So you have to pull up the backward classes or you have to categorize different social classes, and depending on their educational level, you have to impart education. So it's not that, as he said, that we can't just think of anybody who is very poor or who is a slum dweller, that he will be able to understand what is climate change in terms of what we generally know it. Okay. They only know that Earth is becoming warmer and they are having certain disadvantages and they are in a difficult situation. So it is the different institutions, role of different institutions, or be the people who can interact with them at the ground level individually, I think, and can let them understand about this problem, the future problem that may evolve due to this scarcity of water and which may have serious impact on them. The stress, we need to make them understand about the stress. What is the stress? What type of stress they should have? That if the women section are always engaged with domestic production, household maintenance, then they will always be in the vulnerable position. So it's important that some amount of consciousness should be imparted among the lower section of the people who are at the bottom of the society, so that they could have an overall understanding about the scarcity and its vulnerability, so that they could act accordingly in future. Training or education, I think it should be on the crisis of water. Okay, that what will the consequences, not on the causes. So its impact and consequences, this should be known to them. From the social perspective, this should be the job of the social scientist. And interaction, continuous interaction at grassroots level can only solve the problem. Success interactions are required.
Questions?
How are women organizing in urban centers? I know that there's, we hear about different movements that are happening, but what are some of the ones that you see that you find interesting or promising for both grassroots movements in Kolkata, for example?
Actually, they are women. They are organizing themselves to fight different issues which they think to affect themselves the most. Okay. One of the important is the poverty issue, I think, because it's my area, and I have said that on this issue, the people, the women, they are who are overburdened with different work. They are trying themselves to come out of this vulnerability and make themselves adjusted in some other workplaces which is conducive to them. Okay. Since I would just share one thing that in Kolkata, you know that there are different slum areas are there. Okay, there are Hindu slum areas, Muslim slum areas, and different other things also. And one of my students, she has been working on this slum in Muslim slum area, and she has found that she has been studying on the occupational vulnerability and the residential vulnerability. And in occupational vulnerability, she has found that this Muslim women, in some of the time, they are not allowed to work on their own. And when they are allowed to work on their own, it's because the family needs the income of the women. So they were just sharing their views with the student that if we could have an organization like this who could speak on behalf of us, we also want to work, so we could be a member of that organization. This is what I'm telling about the grassroots level experiences. Okay. There are different organizations, official organizations, NGOs who are continuously working with different upcoming issues. Okay, that maybe possibly we all know that about some organizations or other than. But this is what the experiences I have felt while working at the grassroots level in Kolkata and nearby areas. And even she has worked while working in the Hindu slum. She has found that same experiences was there, but comparatively, they said that no, we have certain access to work facilities and jobs. If our husband says that no, you shouldn't, we do not work there, but we are allowed to go. So there is a discrimination among the social classes. So I think that irrespective of the social classes, if we could gather them together and interact about these possibilities, various possibilities and challenges ahead of them, then in one way or the other, the problems will be solved.
Yeah, I have something to ask. That is, you are talking about Kolkata in general, but I think this is, I mean, poverty and like unemployment among women, and in fact, like not being allowed to work, right? I think this is a problem all over India. So, in fact, I want to talk about somewhere in North India, your Haryanas and states like that, where not only are they allowed, I mean, they are not allowed to work. I mean, there is also, you know, female feticide and stuff like that. And there, what you have a very, you know, the sex ratio in those states is like so much on the side of males. So, I mean, what is the, I mean, and you know, there, the one problem is that if you say go to the police or if you want to involve the authorities, then there are other issues, you know, sometimes the village, you know, the people, you know, the panchayat and stuff like that. So they come into the picture. So I mean, what is the solution in cases like that? I mean, in Calcutta it's probably a bit different. They are not being allowed to work, but then the atrocities are not probably that bad. There are other places in India where...
Yeah, no, this is actually the case of urban slums, so the problem is a bit different. And in rural areas, there are some cases like this. So the solution is, again, I think it's you have to involve all the people. Education is the most vital thing, the primary education. And the vital thing is that you have to train them that how useful it is to have proper sanitation facilities. Why is it necessary? It is not that you don't have sanitation facilities, you should have. Not that. Why you should have? Why you should have fresh water facilities? Why you should have drinking water facilities? This accessibility and availability, both, you should create a balance between these two. This is important.
I recently heard about some place in North India where, you know, all the households do not have washrooms, the households do not have toilets, and the women, you know, if they have to go to the toilet, they are not allowed during daylight. So after nightfall, they have to do it like in the public.
Yes.
So there are stories like that.
And even there are, most of the toilets are even kacha toilet, or some...
Yeah, this I'm talking about, like all the households have no... Exactly. So sanitary.
Both, have you
In
noticed
the
the
interest of
difference?
time, yes, go ahead. In the interest of time, let's also have some questions from the student. Jonna and then Nick and anybody else? Okay. Go ahead, Jonna.
Well, I just had a question. So he was talking about the difference between the North and the South, and you were mentioning urbanization, right? So as you've seen people coming from the North into the cities, have you noticed a change in the treatment of women?
Yeah, this actually the urbanization, due to this urbanization, lots of people are migrating in. And again, the thing is that the changes with the women is that again, the burden of work. Because they are coming to urban areas in search of work, in search of high wage rates, but in most of the time they are underemployed or unemployed. So this is again creating a burden because the cost of living is high in urban areas. While they were in the rural areas, they were unemployed, but still they could have the subsistence needs. But in Kolkata or in other areas, when they are coming and not getting work and remaining underemployed, I think this problem of burden of work, the domestic work, and this all this low pay rate, this do matter.
Nick.
I just had a question about sexism. I feel like just observing like people around, like,
I can get you.
sorry, just some observations I've had about sexism. Like I've encountered
Sexism.
sexism just like with random people here, and I don't really understand like the contradicting culture. Like they'll refer to India as a feminine entity, but then they kind of are just sexist and put women at the bottom. Like I don't really understand like India's perspective on like feminism and why sexism still exists. If it just seems so progressive.
This can just.
Okay, so I think what is, if I can paraphrase it and then you can correct me. So I think what he's saying is there are some areas where he believes that in terms of gender equality, India seems to be, at least on the face of it, fairly progressive. That's what he said he's saying. And then on the other hand, when he moves around and he looks at how things are, and he also reads newspapers, I'm assuming, he sees all that, he hears you talk, he sees all these huge gender bias, right? And the kind of things I think, since we talked about these a little bit, that maybe he may be, he may be talking about is, yes, we had Indira Gandhi and all these much before Hillary Clinton. You can say Indira Gandhi is the Jawaharlal Nehru, that family thing, but even Hillary Clinton is the wife of, President Clinton, if she becomes President Hillary Clinton. So those kind of things. Then there is this whole thing about feminine issues, about worship of the feminine and all that. And yes, there was, they have also done a cultural history of India all the way from Indus Valley till now. And they have seen that there was, maybe there was at some point this, it was not as bad. It was not as bad, maybe even compared to now in India. And in fact, it was probably much better compared to everywhere else in the world at that point in time. And yes, we all understand that there was a big discontinuity in Indian history and culture, and everything got almost destroyed at some point. But how did it get so bad? Is that sort of...
That's exactly what she
See, we are always talking about gender equality. Okay, gender equality is there, it has improved. But I think that to have a proper and effective equilibrium situation, it's not gender equality. It should be gender equity which matters. Yeah. Equality is fine, equal resources. Okay, you should have equal resources, provision of resources to both men and women, girl and boy child. It's fine. But in case of developing nations, when health problems or reproductive health problems, this come into the picture, then it's not the gender equality which will help solve the situation. It's the gender equity. You have to know that there should be larger expenses on the girl child or the women from this perspective of health problems relative to the expenses on the male counter, because she needs this more. So here gender equity matters. Okay. And this is but if we think this in terms of bigger level, then or from the perspective of policies, so gender budgeting. Okay. So while framing this gender budgeting, this allocation of resources should be made in such a way that gender equity is maintained, not only gender equality. This may to some extent solve the problem, but always individual problems will be there.
In the interest of time, let's have just one more question. Joanna, anybody else have? Okay.
No, it's okay. No, you go.
Okay, so let's just have maybe, after Joanna, who was the one who raised her hand? Joanna, Joyce, and we'll get back to Rachel, Alina, and everybody if later we have time after Raj's presentation. Joanna and Joyce.
So you've talked about reproductive health a little bit, and I was just wondering if you could expound on that. So like reproductive health.
You guys have to speak a little bit slowly because of the difference in. I would not have understood you. Yes, I would not understood you if I had. So slow.
Okay. So you've talked about reproductive health a little bit, and I was wondering if you could expound on that, because I know reproductive rights and education on reproductive rights and health is so important to the empowerment of women. And I was wondering how that, what the role of that is in India, how the discussion of reproductive rights is treated in India, if there are any movements towards making women, especially in slum areas, more aware of their reproductive rights and health regarding that.
Yeah, regarding this awareness, women in general, we would say that they are not aware of their reproductive health. But of course there are exceptions. The urban, a section of the urban people, they are aware of the same. But we are concerned much more about the larger mass of the society. And this reproductive health, this is one form of empowerment. Health empowerment is very important in related to the social empowerment issue. So if you are aware of your health hazards and the other related problems, then you know how to allocate your resources in your own household. So this is what I think should be important in order to make a woman empowered with respect to her health. And it's not only her, she should be aware of her girl child and the boy child even, so that they could get equal share when they are there. So empowering women, one aspect is obviously this health related issues, and at the same time this health awareness can only be imparted when you have enough awareness that of course through education, okay, and what is that basic education, why health is important for women. Just in my previous discussion I have said that they are so much involved with their household domestic work that they even don't have enough time to maintain themselves, okay, even in times of their reproductive health issues. So this basic education should be that during that time even they should be aware that what they should do in times of emergencies.
Joyce, and keep it a little bit short and then we'll end.
I kind of had a similar question as Joanne. As I was reading this article that was talking about implementing health education, not just, like you said, not just for women, but also on the male side of it, so just incorporating it in public school systems. And a lot of women are very, mothers are against it, and sex is very taboo. It's a taboo topic in India. So how accurate is that? Because at the same time, you're hearing all of these things like, oh, India is becoming more westernized, more educated. So there's kind of a disparity between those two ideas. Does that make sense? It's kind of along the same lines as Joanna, but I'm wondering how people are working to incorporate sex education in public schools, if that's even a thought, if it's, you know, or if it's combative.
So is just one quick question on that. I mean, do you have a sense, I don't, so I'm asking, do you have a sense whether sex as a taboo it's more in, let's say, certain classes in India more than it would be, let's say, in the Catholic section, certain Catholic sections in the US, I mean, Catholic Christians in the US? Is it, I mean, the US culture, I mean, from a Western culture perspective, US is known to be a little bit prudish society.
Right.
Compared with the French, compared with others, right?
No,
in terms of belief systems, right? There's a lot of belief systems among, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, you know, these guys believe in this thing, oh, there is this thing. Well, you go back and they say, okay, what do you believe in? Because, I mean, you as an anyway, not you, Joyce, but you know. So, because it's something that you're used to hearing, it seems like, oh, this makes sense, that does, right? But things like, you know, because I believe in second coming, I believe in something else. And that dictates policy sometimes, right? These kind of things are there. So now if you take these cultural things into account, you take into account the fact that you are used to hearing something more, right? Then if you judge how much of a taboo it is in India versus US, is it in all segments? And considering the fact that educational level is much more in the US,
right.
Is that a real, I mean, difference that you see or not? I don't know.
Okay, so from, you know, the U.S. history, I know that, you know, in the 1960s, a lot of people were sued for even having any sort of consultation regarding Planned Parenthood. So, you know, I'm not saying that the U.S. is completely clear of, you know, especially, I live in the South and there's very conservative still, you know, but I think it's viable to say that in India, the higher you get economically, the less children you're having. But these rural areas is where I'm saying that it's more taboo. So yes, it could be similar to that society in the US, like the more religious you are, you know, the more taboo sex becomes for you. But it's still incorporated in our public school systems.
No, what I'm asking more is, so Pedro or somebody was drawing these, you know, in the context of climate science, he was drawing these connections, right, remember? And so that something impacts something else, something impacts something else, you can find all kinds of correlations. But what is the chain that's driving it? What is the fundamental attribute? Is it the fact that sex is a taboo more in India than in US, or is it a fact that it's just lack of education? Improve education and it's the same as anywhere else. So if you think of Western culture, think of US, okay, that's one. Think of Ireland. Right? In Ireland, there was incidences of educated people from India went there, and there was this lady who was having this issue. She had to abort, but she was not let. It was not allowed. Right? There are all these things, and even allowing. Especially if you allow for how much educated people are over there. So my question is not so much that it's not there. My question is, what is the crux? What is the central issue? Is it the fact that sex is a taboo? Is it that? Is that the issue? Or is it just education? Those are the factors.
Right, that's my question.
Whichever you want to answer.
No.
Maybe it's both. I don't know.
Sex education regarding, if we talk about sex education, I think it's really important. Okay. I don't want to say why it's important, because before that, I would say that keeping in mind the different occurrence of violences and harassments, okay, for the last few years or months, whatever, it's not about months or years. Even in general, I think sex education is very important in the sense that this is one aspect of social empowerment, apart from education and health and other issues. Okay. Social harassment or domestic violence or violence in the neighborhood areas, in public transport, workplace harassment, all these are increasing alarmingly, and definitely they are placing women in a much difficult situation. So in order to cope up with the total situation, sex education should be imparted in the school from the very beginning, I think, when a child is able to understand the basic concepts. Because it is one of the components of empowerment, social empowerment.
So one question that you ask is, if I can paraphrase, is that happening? In India, is that happening?
Is that actually sex education in India, in course curriculum, it has been decided that we should impart the sex education. And one primary experience of mine, I can share that, is 2 or 3 schools in Kolkata. I visited, okay, in a seminar when there was an interactive session between the parents and some other social workers who said that they are organizing this type of seminars in schools through media or the visual interactions with the children. And I didn't know, but this in fact happened in my child's school. But I didn't know about this. Okay, this is really awesome, and I really was very surprised and happy to know this. That they know and they have been given this experience to share what is actually happening and what is the basic thing.
So she'll be with us. Let's give her a big hand. Of time, cut this short, we can interact with her while Rajashri sets this up. Yeah, one reason why you're saying this, Joyce, is because, in general, there are religious differences about sex taboos in India, as you might imagine. But even, let's say, take Muslims. Muslims in India have less sex taboo compared to their counterparts in the region and maybe even elsewhere, right? Remember, Muslims in India are less likely, or